Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day. One could watch this and think that you really hate Sean Combs.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time.
Gotta ask you, Janice Combs, how you feel about her? I mean, they alleging that she was, having freak-off.
I spoke to a man, Mr. Brown, who used to go to the freak-offs, and he knew Miss Combs, and he knew about her and her freak-offs and everything like that. We had always thought that she had a modeling agency, but it wasn't a modeling agency. It was more a brothel that she ran for high-profile drug dealers. And
Curtis 50 Cent Jackson had confirmed that a follow-up to his bombshell documentary on Sean Diddy Combs is coming. With the next chapter, Sean Combs, the reckoning set to dive into fresh territory. This time, the spotlight reportedly shifts toward Janice Combs, Diddy's mother, who's long been viewed as a key force shaping the foundation and success of Bad Boy Records. Adding fuel to the fire, sources indicate that Season 1 on Netflix left out some compelling footage, material that the platform allegedly chose not to feature in the final edit. Now, 50 Cent is gearing up to drop that withheld content himself, planning an independent release straight to YouTube, so viewers can finally see the full, unfiltered pieces of the saga that didn't make the official cut. The drama continues to unfold in the hip-hop world.
Yeah, my mom's gorgeous. Hold on, let me introduce you to my mom, called Ma Dukes.
Hi.
She's getting a drip with me. She's hydrating. What's up, Ma?
Everything's good, baby. I'm here with you.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you, too.
The documentary opens by tracing the origins of Sean Diddy Combs' path back to his formative years, framing this period as a foundational chapter that shaped everything to follow. Childhood friend Tim Patterson shares memories of how Sean Combs, known today as Diddy, lost his father, a figure tied to Harlem's street scene, at a very tender age. Following that tragedy, his mother, Janice Combs, took the reins of the household. She transformed their home into a vibrant hub of constant movement and lively social events. As the film depicts it, those very rooms and gatherings served as young Diddy's earliest window into a grown-up realm ruled by status, clout, and street credibility. The documentary implies that those in the community recognize the distinctive vibe of these occasions and grasp the unusual world the boy was being raised in.
The mom, she came out defending her son, man. How you feel about that? She made a comment saying that he's not a monster.
I guess this is my newfound career, so I'm going to say what on my mind and what I think, brother. First of all, that's his mother. Wrong, right, or indifferent, she going to lie, steal, kill, and protect her child. That's what she's supposed to do. But the apple don't fall far from the tree, man. You got to realize that. You know, he didn't get all this from his daddy because he didn't know his daddy, even though they try to say his daddy was some big time drug dealer in the whole 9 yards. You understand? He didn't get this from his daddy. You got to realize, man, you know, his mother had a modeling agency, and it was alleged that it was also Ladies of the Night, a prostitution ring too.
The documentary opens by tracing the roots of Sean Combs' story back to his formative years in Harlem, framing them as the true origin point of everything that followed. A childhood friend, Tim Patterson, shares that Diddy's father, portrayed as a recognizable figure in the street life of Harlem, was fatally shot when Sean was still a small child. In the aftermath, his mother, Janice Combs, stepped into the central role. She transformed their household into a vibrant, high-energy hub, frequently filled with prominent visitors and an almost ceaseless stream of social activity. The film paints a picture of young Diddy growing up immersed in this environment. Rooms alive with influential adults, conversations thick with talk of status, connections, and street credibility. It implies that those early exposures, overhearing dealings, observing power dynamics, and absorbing the unspoken rules of reputation, shaped his understanding of the world long before he entered the music industry. Neighbors, according to the documentary, were well aware of the distinctive aura around the Combs home and the particular world young Sean was being raised within.
Remember when I said Diddy mother might be the originator of the freak-offs?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so tomorrow Peacock is dropping. According to the Rolling Stone, the doc features an alleged childhood friend of Puff's, hip-hop producer Tim Dog Patterson. He alleged that Janice, Diddy's mom, would often throw parties at Diddy's childhood home. He says that during the parties, it wasn't uncommon to walk into rooms where adults was having sex. I mean, that was just their normal. And the doc, when talking about the parties, Tim says, verbatim, "That's what we were privy to. This was what we were fed."
As the documentary shifts into a more ominous register, those who once orbited closely around Diddy begin to unpack what they see as a deliberate, guiding hand from his mother, Janice Combs. Voices tied to the story, most notably former bodyguard Gene Deal, paint a picture of a mother-son bond that unsettled observers, not merely for its intimacy, but for its apparent purposefulness and depth of impact. In this lens, Janice emerges less as a conventional parent and more as a strategic mentor who instilled core principles from an early age: the pursuit of spotlight, the hunger for reverence, and the mechanics of dominance. Detractors contend that these foundational teachings never truly receded. Rather, they solidified into the bedrock that propelled, and perhaps patterned, his commanding rise to the music empire.
And was talking about that his mother could take her palms and bend over and put them down on the floor. Not bend over, but she could stand straight up and put her palms on the floor, bruh. He's saying that about his mother. Who describes any of their mother action like that in a sexual way? And then, you know, I don't know how many dudes do kiss their mother in their mouth when they 50, 60 years old or something like that. That's them, that's their whole thing, man. But that was a little kind of weird for me. And then his mother wore the same white fingernail polish that Cassie described that he liked to see her and other models in when she was describing her lawsuit. And what's crazy to me is that, man, it seemed like him and his mother had this, I don't want to get too deep, man, this Oedipus complex.
The behavior seated in Diddy's formative years, according to the documentary's framing, didn't simply dissolve with maturity. They matured alongside him, morphing and intensifying. The extravagant, boundary-pushing gatherings that would later define his public image are presented as a direct outgrowth of those early domestic scenes, now supercharged by celebrity status, vast resources, and unchecked authority. In this telling, Janice Combs appears far from detached or oblivious. She's cast as a knowing figure who stayed attuned to the unfolding narrative. Certain accounts from those who claim to have witnessed events describe her lingering in the periphery at some of these high-profile affairs, watching quietly, perhaps endorsing through presence the patterns she helped establish long before. To detractors, this recurring shadowy attendance serves as a stark indicator. Her role wasn't confined to childhood guidance, but extended as a persistent, shaping force well into his adult empire-building years, whether viewed as emblematic loyalty or calculated continuity.
But why you believe she knew about the freak-offs?
Because one of the witnesses said she was there. And then you remember this, bro? Check it out. People tell off on themselves so much, man, and I don't understand when people don't catch it. Diddy has said this. He said, when I give a party, I have to have an ambulance outside of the house. Paramedics ready. That people have to take IVs. Remember the time that him and his mama kissed each other on the lips?
Yeah, I remember that video.
Do you remember that both of them was getting an IV at the same time?
Yeah, I did notice that, yep.
That's from the Diddy freak-off party. And I'm going to say allegedly.
So let me ask you this. You knowing her at one point, you knowing her personally, is she the kind of person that, you know, will be a part of a freak-off or no?
I think that she liked to party, and she partied with young people. She's always been like that. she always copied or emulated Little Kim and Mary J. Blige. Or they emulated her. The blonde hair, the nails, the high boots, the age-appropriate, inappropriate clothes.
Gene Deal has openly shared his long-held unease about the unusually intense bond between Diddy and his mother, Janice Combs, especially in the years following the death of Diddy's father. In Deal's recollection, Janice elevated her young son to the role of the household's central male figure, burdening him with adult-level responsibilities far too soon. He describes this connection as far more than enduring affection. It grew progressively more dominant and directive as time passed. Deal further asserts that Janice wasn't a passive bystander in Diddy's adult world of socializing and extravagant events. She was, in his estimation, an active participant who steered his outlook and choices, embedding patterns that Deal believes ultimately steered Diddy toward the controversial trajectory he later pursued.
Relationship, whether it's physical or mental, with a mother and a son. So I'm looking at his mother and him on the couch, and both of them are getting IVs after one of the Diddy parties. Allegedly. I'm gonna say allegedly because I wasn't there and I didn't know, but they showed them both getting IVs on the couch. So my whole thing about this thing is that I'm not saying that she was ever at a freak off, she was ever at that type of party, but you can't tell me Miss Janice Combs, who was always at the regular parties, didn't know nothing about the freak off parties.
Certain observers have pointed to an unusually intimate dynamic, whether emotional, psychological, or otherwise, between Diddy and his mother, Janice Combs, one that has sparked curiosity and speculation among those watching from the outside. A particular anecdote circulating in some circles describes the pair allegedly spotted side by side after one of Diddy's renowned gatherings, both hooked up to 4 drips for recovery. This detail stems from resurfaced footage and commentary, including remarks from figures like Gene Deal, but lacks independent first-hand verification or official corroboration in the accounts presented. While interpretation splits sharply, defenders see it as innocuous familial closeness. Skeptics view it as emblematic of deeper entanglement. Such reported moments fuel wider doubts about Janice's level of insight into the atmosphere surrounding her son's lifestyle. That said, no substantiated proof exists tying her directly to any so-called freak-off gatherings or confirming her participation in those specific activities. What persists in these conversations is less an accusation of hands-on complicity and more a layer of incredulity. If she was periodically visible in the broader orbit of these high-energy events, how plausible is it that she remained entirely oblivious to the undercurrents and behaviors allegedly playing out behind closed doors? Ultimately, these remain unproven assertions, interpretive leaps, and unresolved questions rather than confirmed realities.
Or the situation where they say he was trying to shape Misa into his mother. Can you see that? Like,
Yeah, with the blonde hair and yeah, and all of that. I mean, somebody
really
asked a question: what kind of man puts his hands on his mother? The same kind of man that parties with his mom, the same kind of man who kisses his mom in the mouth, the same kind of man who seems to have accurate knowledge that his elderly mother can put both of her hands, her palms, on the floor and while she's standing up, bent over.
Oh damn! I ain't seen that one. Oh.
You never seen the Instagram video where he was talking about how his mom is still young and spry and how she still liked the party and how they was getting a IV drip?
Oh. Damn.
And she was kissing him in the mouth on the video when he was like, yeah, my mom can bend over and touch the floor with her palms.
No.
It's a very, very, very weird relationship. It's weird.
In the documentary's unfolding account, a figure referred to as Nassie reportedly recounted episodes from the household that struck some as deeply disconcerting. glimpses of interactions or routines that left witnesses unsettled and questioning what they had observed. These remain unconfirmed allegations, lacking any independent substantiation or corroboration. Within this storyline, Janice Combs' role transcends typical maternal devotion or protective instinct. It's framed as a pervasive, guiding presence that permeated wider facets of Diddy's existence. Certain recollections allude to peculiar customs or daily patterns that reportedly caught those in proximity off guard. The cumulative impression, as critics interpret it, was one of an intensely managed household atmosphere, hard to overlook and potentially formative in ways that remain opaque to outsiders. Still, these views rest squarely on contested claims and subjective readings, not on verified conclusions or documented proof.
So how you feel about, her? I mean, they alleging that she was, having freak-offs.
I spoke to a man, Mr. Brown, who used to go to the freak-offs. And this guy lives in Georgia right now. And he told me that he was a stick-up kid back in the day. And one time he had robbed one of their spots. And he went back and he had got the money and gave them their money back and everything like that. And he knew Miss Combs and he knew about her and her freak-offs and everything like that. We had always thought that she had a modeling agency, but it wasn't a modeling agency. It was more of a brothel that she ran for high-profile drug dealers and athletes. You could tell by I could tell that Miss Combs at the time, and actually saw her, like young guys. She came at me a couple of times back in my heyday, before the extra 75 pounds back then. And the reason I left Bad Boy wasn't only because of her advances, it's because I got tired of a lot of the bullshit with her.
The accounts circulating in these discussions frame Diddy's upbringing as shaped by experiences far removed from conventional childhood norms. Reports allege that even in his early years, Janice Combs sustained a lively, outward-facing social life centered around their residence, marked by regular gatherings, a constant stream of guests, and an active flow of people through the home. Those who say they witnessed it portray the scene as something of an open secret in the local community, widely recognized yet seldom confronted or discussed directly in that setting. The storyline positions young Diddy not just amid grown-ups, but immersed in demonstrations of coordination, sway, and command that his mother allegedly wielded with authority. Skeptics and commentators posit that these childhood exposures could have played a lasting role in how he later approached hierarchies, leverage, and control in the cutthroat world of music and entertainment. As with prior elements in this narrative, however, these depictions draw from anecdotal recollections, personal interpretations, and secondhand assertions, none of which have been independently confirmed or elevated to established fact.
Ms. Combs is speaking out about the Netflix documentary, Sean Combs' The Reckoning. In a statement to Deadline, she said, "These inaccuracies regarding my son Sean's upbringing and family life are intentionally done to mislead viewers and to further harm our reputation." She also maintains she was not an abusive parent and says that Diddy never slapped her, as previously stated in the documentary.
As anticipated, Janice Combs has publicly pushed back against the documentary with considerable force, releasing a pointed statement that dismisses key allegations as deliberate falsehoods and distortions aimed at misleading audiences and damaging reputations. Despite the gravity of the accusations leveled in the series, produced in association with 50 Cent and streamed on Netflix, neither Janice nor Diddy himself has moved forward with any announced lawsuits targeting the platform, the executive producer, or the filmmakers. This conspicuous restraint has itself emerged as a focal point of discussion. For certain commentators, the decision to forego legal recourse stirs suspicion, suggesting it might imply reluctance to subject the claims to formal scrutiny. Others emphasize that opting against immediate court action often arises from pragmatic considerations, ranging from strategic timing and substantial legal costs to procedural complexities, and carries no inherent implication of guilt or concession. Critics, however, maintain that if the portrayals were wholly baseless, mounting a defamation challenge in court would represent a straightforward means of rebuttal and vindication. In contrast, defenders of the family's position note that pursuing litigation frequently backfires by prolonging media scrutiny, amplifying the very controversy it seeks to quell, and granting the original content even greater visibility. Consequently, this ongoing quietude has woven itself into the larger conversation, with interpretations varying sharply according to one's stance, ranging from tacit validation in the eyes of detractors to a calculated choice to avoid escalation among supporters.
You think it's Diddy, it's Janice Combs. Janice Combs is Bad Boy. Man. You don't actually sign to Diddy. His name is on the dotted line, but you actually sign it to Janice Combs.
Did he ever tell you why that is, or do you understand?
Now that I'm older, I know exactly what it is. It's a paper trail, so nothing can come bite me. If you come for me, you ain't coming for me. I ain't got nothing. You going.
In the accounts circulating through these discussions, Janice Combs emerges as the early architect of Diddy's business instincts, the one who first schooled him in the mechanics of commerce and opportunity when he was still far from the spotlight. Even after Bad Boy Records rose to prominence with Diddy as its charismatic frontman, certain claims suggest that pivotal pieces of the empire, assets, holdings, or structural arrangements, were allegedly configured to rest under his mother's authority or oversight. None of these assertions have undergone independent confirmation or forensic validation. Material spotlighted by 50 Cent, including resurfaced interviews and clips, casts Janice as more than a supportive figure. She's depicted as the quiet financial sentinel for the label, someone skilled in weathering storms, shielding resources, and steering the operation through turbulent chapters. A handful of purported insiders go further, alleging that Diddy deliberately shifted critical paperwork, equity stakes, or other interests into her hands, framing the moves not purely as filial trust, but as calculated risk management, a layer of protection for family wealth, and a potential buffer against legal or regulatory heat directed at the company itself. Through this interpretive prism, the story reframes Bad Boy less as the solo triumph of a visionary mogul and more as a layered enterprise where, according to detractors, meaningful levers of control may remain discreetly positioned offstage rather than fully in the public glare. As with the broader narrative, these portrayals rest on unproven allegations, secondhand recollections, and contested readings rather than settled evidence or documented proof.
2000s and 2010s, Diddy was really prospering, music, business, fashion. And one of the things that he had said, what he alleged in the documentary, and again, this is an allegation from him, was that the name Bad Boy Entertainment, Combs's name was not really involved in that on the corporate side. And one of the things he's saying is the reason for that was to avoid having to pay any liability from, the devastating basketball game that had happened in the early 90s, where he was the subject of wrongful death lawsuits because of the multiple deaths that had occurred as a result of that basketball game that Diddy was behind organizing. So that was really, surprising to hear.
Yeah, that was a big allegation, because the families of the victims killed in that stampede, it was horrible. We're talking about December 28th, 1991. Combs, fellow rapper Heavy D, they hosted this charity basketball game. The game took place at the gymnasium of the City College of New York. And according to the New York Daily News, before the basketball game started, people who weren't let inside, they broke a window, swarmed toward the entrance of the gym, all went down a staircase. The doors at the bottom of those stairs opened towards the stairs, not towards the gym. So once a crowd got down there, they couldn't get the doors open and people started being crushed. 9 people died. Dozens of others were injured. And there were no criminal charges that were ever filed against anyone for the stampede, but multiple families and injured victims.
The core question arises: why would Janice Combs, Diddy's mother, hold substantial ownership stakes in key ventures, even as her son Sean Diddy Combs was widely regarded as the public face and driving force behind them? Some commentators trace this back to a pivotal moment in December 1991. Diddy had organized a high-profile celebrity charity basketball game at City College in New York, but severe overcrowding triggered a devastating stampede before the event even started, resulting in the tragic loss of 9 lives. The aftermath brought intense legal pressure, with families of the victims launching lawsuits that spotlighted liability risks tied to anyone publicly linked to such large gatherings. In this light, Skeptics suggest that placing significant assets or control under Janice's name wasn't merely a familial or generational setup. Instead, it could represent a deliberate strategy to shield wealth from potential lawsuits or financial fallout stemming from Diddy's high visibility, high-stakes public persona, and business activities. By distancing key holdings from the more exposed celebrity figure, it might limit personal or corporate vulnerability in an industry where fame often invites scrutiny and legal challenges. Of course, these views form part of ongoing speculation and debate in public discussions. They stem from observers piecing together patterns rather than any official confirmation or admitted plan from those involved.
At City College, you understand? I was there. I was doing security. My team was supposed to have the outside. Puff came to me the day before we were supposed to do the job there and told me that Heavy D didn't want us to do the security outside. I had 18 men ready to do the security outside with my dogs like I always do. People knew how we used to roll. We would have the pits, the Rockwilders, you understand? You know, we had that outside locked up. So anybody try to bum rush, anybody do that, we had the gates, the whole 9 yards. So we could stop all that. You know how people gonna get down in Harlem. You understand? So, and then when you got LL Cool J, you got Mike Tyson coming through there, and they coming through the front door so people see them. So they gonna go crazy. LL was the hottest thing out at that time. Mike Tyson was the hottest thing out at that time. They got all kinds of stars and people in there already. They was coming through the back. They came through the front. And it caused the door to be bum rushed. But if they had the gates up, if they had the dogs, and with the help of the police, that shit would have never happened, bro. That shit would have never happened. I was there, I saw it. I saw Jessica run down the steps after she grabbed the money box because my man Eddie was protecting her. And Eddie's the one called me on the walkie-talkie and said, yo, Jessica just locked me in outside the gym, Gene. You couldn't go down the steps after they bum rushed the door. You understand? I had to run around the whole gym on the outside, around the gym, down the steps, run across the basketball court, and open the front door. When I opened that one door, because it pushed inside, people start squeezing through that. Then I just kept doing the doors, and people was coming in there, falling dead, right out, just falling out right there. And once they got in there, they just fell out. It was crazy, bro. You know, he just wanted us to do inside the gym to make sure that nobody, you know, be over the celebrities like that. That's what he wanted my team to do. But most of the celebrities gonna have their own security anyway. You know what I'm saying? That was just a way to cut our security off anyway. So he cut the security and he got the FOIs, and the FOIs left their post, and that's how the people bum rushed the door, and 9 people died by going down those corridors.
And you blame Diddy for that?
Yeah, I do. It's his fault.
According to Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, who claims he was present and witnessed the chaos unfold firsthand, he places primary blame for the deadly outcomes squarely on Diddy. Deal contends that security was woefully inadequate, critical warnings about the growing dangers were disregarded, and the resulting pandemonium could have been avoided through better organization, preparation, and decisive leadership. In his perspective, the tragedy wasn't merely an unfortunate mishap, but a clear breakdown in responsibility and oversight from those in charge. At the time, the event triggered numerous lawsuits and court proceedings, where questions of fault and liability were formally investigated and litigated. Ultimately, though, for many who look back on a harrowing day, the City College stampede endures as a powerful cautionary tale. The immense risks inherent in staging massive public gatherings, and a potentially devastating fallout when crowd management, venue safety protocols, and overall event planning prove insufficient.
And again, I know the freak offs that his son is there. Like, it seems like he likes to get down with his kids.
Yeah. But that wasn't all. Just to hear Little Rod say, like, the boys were around. Roger Bonds talked about the children as well. What kind of parenting relationship is that? But then again, that goes back to the conversation of Lori Harvey, Steve Harvey's daughter. It was all known that she was spotted in them streets with Justin, and then she was spotted in them streets with Diddy, and they all tried to sit there and pretend like that wasn't what it was. Like, I don't know if anybody has not noticed, but ever since Diddy got pinched, they've all been trying to pretend like all of the stuff that we've seen that happened, that they was all involved and didn't happen.
The bond between Diddy and his mother, Janice Combs, stood out as unusually close and publicly visible. Yet what has fueled much of the speculation in recent years is a perception among some observers that certain underlying patterns from that relationship appear to echo or even repeat themselves later in Diddy's own personal and family life as his power and prominence grew. Critics and commentators who track these threads point to what they describe as recurring dynamics, structures of control, authority, loyalty, and personal boundaries within his household that, to them, seem to mirror elements of the mother-son arrangement earlier in his career. For those who see it this way, the parallels feel less like random coincidence and more like a continuation or reenactment of formative influences, subtly reshaping how relationships, hierarchies, and decision-making played out in his adult world. As his empire expanded and scrutiny intensified, these observed similarities have sparked both fascination and unease among those following his story. Still, these readings exist firmly within a realm of public interpretation and debate. Intriguing to some, unsettling to others, but they are not settled facts or officially acknowledged patterns. They remain part of the broader, often polarized conversation surrounding his legacy.
Overnight, lawyers for Sean Diddy Combs trying to stop the release of a Netflix docuseries due out today.
We have to find somebody that'll work with us that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business.
The series contains never-before-seen footage of Combs debating strategy with his lawyers in the days leading up to his arrest in New York last year.
I am going to let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution.
It also includes video of Combs greeting fans in Harlem.
Off my back. I'm aware. As long as you wear, be with it. I'll accept it.
And then saying this about the interaction moments later.
I need some hand sanitizer. Hold on. I got. I've been out in the streets amongst the people. Yeah, I gotta take a bath. Like the amount of people that actually I'm coming in contact with, like that's what I have to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like 150 hugs.
Now Combs' lawyers are demanding Netflix pull the series, threatening legal action, claiming Netflix is using stolen footage that was never authorized for release as part of what they call a shameful hit piece. The series is executive produced by Combs' longtime rival, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, and director Alex Stapleton, who said, quote, "We obtained the footage legally and have the necessary rights," end quote. Before the cease and desist demand was sent yesterday, Stapleton and Jackson sat down with our Robin Roberts to discuss the series.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
It's not personal.
The show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. Not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of.
Reports indicate that individuals in Sean Diddy Combs' circle are actively working to block a documentary project spearheaded by his longtime rival, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, though claims of a broad, coordinated shutdown effort remain unconfirmed. What is clear is that the situation has escalated into serious legal territory. Diddy's legal representatives have issued a cease and desist letter targeting Netflix, the platform set to air the series titled Sean Combs. The Reckoning, branded in production as defamatory, filled with unsubstantiated assertions, and deliberately crafted to inflict reputational harm. They contend that the content relies on exaggerated or unverified allegations rather than solid, proven evidence, positioning it more as a targeted attack than balanced journalism. Here's the intriguing element fueling widespread speculation. The aggressive legal push did not materialize immediately after the initial season or premiere episodes dropped. Instead, it ramped up sharply only once whispers started spreading about potentially game-changing, highly sensitive material slated for a follow-up installment, possibly Season 2 or additional episodes. That precise timing has led many observers to wonder, What undisclosed revelations or explosive details might be on the horizon that prompted such an urgent shift from tolerance to outright confrontation? This back and forth continues to play out amid ongoing public scrutiny, with Netflix and production team defending the series' legitimacy, including claims that all footage was lawfully obtained, while Diddy's side vows further action if needed. As with much of the discourse surrounding these figures, the full picture remains evolving and contested.
Diddy Combs' sons Justin and Christian are teasing a new docuseries about their family. Justin and Christian King Combs appear in a new trailer released December 28th to Instagram by Zeus Network's founder. In the trailer, Justin and Christian sit on a couch in a screening room while a series of headlines about their father cycle on screen. At the end of the trailer, Justin's phone vibrates and he answers a collect call from the Fort Dix Federal Correctional Institute, where Combs is currently behind bars. No release date for the docuseries is given, though the teaser says viewers can expect it at some point in 2026. Combs shares Justin with ex-Misa Hilton and Christian with the late Kim Porter. The rapper is also dad to 34-year-old son Quincy and daughters Chance, 19, twins Delilah and Jesse, also 19, and Love, who is 3 years old. Combs was transferred to Fort Dix from the Metropolitan Detention Center in New York in late October after he was sentenced to 50 months in prison on prostitution-related convictions.
Zeus Network has a new Diddy documentary coming out, and this time it is coming from the perspective of Diddy and his sons. All the time I thought we were about to leave Diddy in 2025. Well, this documentary is coming in 2026. And a lot of people, just like myself, are already not feeling this new documentary coming from Diddy's sons. A lot of people aren't happy about it and actually shocked that the owner of Zeus Network, Lemmy, is doing this Diddy documentary. But what a lot of people fail to forget is Lemmy and Diddy have been friends for quite some time.
Of his children arriving in court for day one of their father's trial in New York, hands gripped in solidarity.
Do you still believe your dad's innocent? How did you feel hearing that testimony? Have you apologized on behalf of your father? Do you believe your father's innocent? Do you still convince your father's innocent? Your daddy does for you! Your daddy does for you for abusing women! That's wrong! You got
The foes, the joy, the pain, our voice, the loyalty, the betrayal, the lies, the love, the hate, the truth, the lies. And Diddy calling from Fort Dix.
This is a prepaid collect call from Federal Correctional Institution, Fort Dix.
When they released this trailer last night, there were so many comments to Lemmy and Zeus Network that they did not want to see this. A lot of people feel like this whole new documentary is just a PR narrative, once again being pushed by Diddy and his sons to try to clean up his image. And after hearing certain things on 50 Cent's Netflix documentary, we have to go back in time and remember what we were seeing during trial. Even when it came to Diddy's sons, Christian and Justin Combs, they both came on two separate occasions to trial wearing a free Sean Combs shirt. The first one to do this was Christian Combs during Jane's testimony, and you're not supposed to wear this stuff in front of a jury to try to sway their opinions. And the judge actually told him he had to leave and take it off. And then literally like a week later, Justin did the same exact thing. It was taken out of the courtroom by the judge. And we already saw the videos in the Netflix doc of Diddy talking to Justin, saying he needed to push out certain content to control a narrative. During the trial, there were a lot of things going on that I could see that to me felt like it was just straight PR. Do you remember all of these people that were wearing the free Diddy shirts? And it was actually a meme coin that's on their
Curtis 50 Cent Jackson wasted no time firing back once the buzz around the Diddy documentary and the legal pushback hit fever pitch. He jumped straight into the fray with his signature unfiltered style, delivering a response that left zero room for misinterpretation. He's locked in, unapologetic, and fully prepared to escalate. His tone was pure provocation, sharp, taunting, and dripping with that classic 50 Cent bravado. He made it crystal clear he's sitting on unreleased material the public hasn't laid eyes on yet. Footage, details, and revelations he's deliberately held back until now. The message was unmistakable. He's not playing defense. He's signaling that the next wave, whether more episodes, follow-up content, or whatever comes next, will be anything but subtle, measured, or dialed back. In typical fashion, 50 turned the heat up rather than stepping away, framing the ongoing saga as one he's ready to dominate. For fans and observers tracking this long-running feud, his rapid, no-holds-barred reply only amplified the anticipation. Whatever's still in the vault appears potent enough that he's not afraid to unleash it. Consequences be damned. This exchange remains part of the heated, evolving public back-and-forth classic 50 Cent theater, where silence was never really an option.
As expected, 50 Cent caught wind of it hitting the news, hitting the blogs, and being on the timeline yesterday that Diddy's sons, Sean and Justin, will be dropping a docuseries of their own to tell their side of the story, their experiences, and how they view things on the Zeus network. With 50 Cent put it up on his Instagram page, and he promoted the trailer where you look at it from the other side of it on the marketing side, but he knows it plays back into the doc that he just dropped as well with the record, and he put it up and said, wow, I want to see this show. I'm not sure this was a good idea. And he tagged at 50 Cent Action, letting it be known that this is really promo.
Janice Combs has stepped out of the shadows and into the spotlight in a way few could have predicted. No longer a peripheral figure mentioned in passing, she's become one of the central characters in the unfolding narrative surrounding her son. Regardless of where you land on the spectrum, whether you find the mounting allegations compelling, partially credible, or entirely overstated, one pattern stands out unmistakably. This family seems fiercely committed to steering the direction and pace of whatever comes next. Control appears to be the priority, from legal maneuvers to public messaging. That makes the anticipation around the documentary's next installment even more charged. When Season 2 finally lands, or whatever form the follow-up takes, the fresh disclosures it brings could dramatically reshape the entire storyline, potentially flipping long-held assumptions on their head.